Hello and welcome to the 19th part of our Dominion 6 guide for new players. In this part we're going to continue our war, which now has a second front open, so thank you for that, Abyssia. So we left off with our initial attack into Bandar Log, which seemed to be going pretty well all things considered. We've managed to take this throne using Ursnek and a bunch of other forces, and we've managed to push into a little bit of Bandar Log's territory. We've also successfully cut off Bethine from their fortress here in their capital of Bandar Log. We've got a pretty good idea of the enemy forces thanks to the number of scouts we have. We do have a small force over here in Rid, who are currently marching into our territories. However, we do also have our palisade up in Rotmarsh, so for the damage that they can do here, I'm not so worried about it. What we're going to do first of all is we're going to get Ursnek to claim this Throne of Ascension, the Spring Spires. This is the Throne of Pestilence, which I talked about before. So this gives us Ascension points, Dominion spread. It has death increase inside the actual throne province itself. Our Dominion gets death +1. So our usual Dominion has growth 2. It will now be growth 1 because we get an additional death scale to it. But we do get 3 death gems per turn, which is quite nice. So what we'll do is we'll get Ursnek to claim that. And then we've got to consider our armies. So over here, this is our army of mostly ranged units with a little bit of infantry as well. I think what we want to do is we want to secure our major force here in the Woods of Weeping. As it stands, our supply usage here, because of the province, the population in this province is quite low, we don't have that many supplies here. This is going to be an issue, I think, throughout Bandar Log's territory, purely because they have such bad scales in their Dominion. Everywhere seems to be death 3, as far as we can see. So anything with enemy Dominion in it is going to have not that high population, or certainly a lot less lower than what ours is with our growth scales. So because of that, we could potentially start moving up towards Urik Balkor. We don't really want to fight this major force unless we're all together. So, okay, let's move everybody together in the Woods of Weeping. Let's concentrate our force as best we can. With this force here, led by Hildegard in tow, we can add the rest of these knights over here to her cavalry. She's got a couple of these undisciplined units, which we will also change around where they are. Big large mass of infantry of Ulm with a couple of guardians in them as well. And then we have a bunch of, as I said, undisciplined troops and a bunch of extra troops as well. So we'll add these guys over here. We'll add this to our large front line. We're actually going to set these guys in a double line formation so they're a little bit more stacked up, still spread out. They will take more damage from archers, but they'll be a little bit better for our buffing units, such as our Master Smiths here. We'll move these Bakamona shows up, so they're now on the side. They should run round this double line now, while our 2 units of knights hold and wait to attack. And that should be pretty good. We're going to set up some additional lines of troops. So we don't have... Hildegard herself doesn't have any crossbowmen, so we'll set up Guderick. He's also going to come out with us. And we're going to have a small amount of crossbowmen here. And he's also going to have a second wave of troops. Just a small one, small line. And they're also going to hold and attack the closest. The reason I'm wanting to do this is I want to make sure that I have somebody round the back in case there is some form of cavalry charge that they could potentially go and shore up. So in that case, we might actually get them to, instead of just attack closest, we might get them to attack enemy cavalry. Just in case we get attacked by a bunch of Tiger Riders, these guys will come in and try and secure whichever flank. Okay, and with that, I think that's the majority of our troops. We obviously have all of these Bakemono as well. And I think they'll stay with their Bakemono chief. So let's get all of our guys together. As far as mage support goes, we have a number of Master Smiths, and we have 2 of our priest smiths. What we're going to do is we're going to take off these boots of long stride from them. They've managed to get here, so that's the main thing. And we're going to start getting this army to move down to Strongdale. And as far as the scripting goes, we're going to give both of our priest smiths the correct script. So that's going to be Summon Earth Power, Personal Iron Skin, then Iron Darts. And then for our other mages, we're going to give them buffing spells. And we'll make sure that they are, yep, so they're reasonably spread out so they can hit a lot of people with their buffing spells. So one difference I might do is Amalaric could be given some other things, but we'll maybe get onto that later. For Rezo himself, so I'm going to give Rezo a bunch of earth gems, and that's because he's stealthy. So not only is he commanding a bunch of troops, but if I give him a bunch of earth gems, if he's not in combat, if he's sleuthing about, he can deliver these earth gems to our front lines, which we'll probably need if we want to take the castle here up in Bandar Log. As far as anything else goes, we don't really have... Oh, we do have a couple of fires in the jar, so we are going to get one from Almeric, our Master Smith, and we're going to get him to cast something slightly different. So he's going to stick with Summon Earth Power, because we want that reinvigoration. He is also going to cast Phoenix Power, which he'll be able to do with the free fire gem he gets from that fire in a jar. Let's see what else he can cast. So from here, our evocation research isn't quite to the level that I would maybe want to. You can see here that he can cast now Ignite Arrows with the Summon Phoenix Power. But with some fire gems, he could also cast Flare, which does send a large fireball towards an area and it leaves a lingering cloud of flame. We could also use Fireball, which does have a very large area of effect with quite a lot of damage, and he would be able to cast that without any additional gems. So we're going to tell him to cast a bunch of Fireballs after he summons Phoenix Power, and we are going to give him a few fire gems to use as well. This will mean that because we've given him the gems, he'll use them whenever he can to cast spells. I think that we maybe tell him to conserve his magical gem usage, at least for now. So when you click on conservative magical gem usage, you will only use gems for spells that require the gems. You'll never use gems to just reduce the fatigue cost of spells. If this isn't ticked, say if he was going to cast his fireball and it was going to take him over a certain amount of fatigue, or if he was going to take him near to 100, he would use one of those fire gems to increase his fire level by 1, so he'd get less fatigue for casting it. So he'd be able to cast more spells overall. We want to hold on to these because we're probably going to use them later on when we actually attack Bandar Log itself. So with that, we'll make sure that we have everybody together in Elklin. We're going to move into Strongdale. We're then going to move into the Spring Spires. These troops here, which we have a couple of sappers in, a couple of random troops, and a little bit of support, mostly from our Priestsmiths, who we will spread out a little bit more, like so. We are going to get these guys to move up to Barmy, and then they're going to move into Bethine. These guys over here, this is more of a ragtag, a bunch of archers and some ragtag units that we have. We might actually get them to move to this fortification this turn in Bethine, just to make sure that we are taking that over. There's a big gold mine here, and I kind of want to keep that as best we can. We can see that certainly our treasury isn't quite as good as it once was. We are spending a lot of money on recruiting troops, on the upkeep of troops. You can see our upkeep is now up to 2,000, so that's 6,000 gold we're making per turn. We're losing 2,000 of that already before the turn even starts, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. We will try and... we cannot construct this because he's already building a fortress. Shan, what do you have? You have a bunch of random troops. So what we'll do is we'll just collect, again, a bunch of random troops, and we'll start sending him through Phoenicia over to Bethine. We just want to try and reinforce as best we can. That is a lot of Slingermen. So let's try and get another commander here. We're going to go over there. I mean, we could do it here. We have enough for resources yet. Let's do that. So within Rotmarsh itself, we're going to make sure that we are recruiting enough units. We can see here that we don't have very many infantry of Ulm being made, so we'll rectify that. We have a Lizard Shaman who will be coming out next turn. That's absolutely fine. We have Pippin here. He's already searched here. We could potentially give him some boots, see how far he can make it. So he can now make it to Albretha. He can't make it any further. I'm a bit tenuous about sending him out without support, so let's just send him to Fenica as it stands, and he will do our usual Priestsmith build. As for the troops here, I want them to patrol, search, and preach in that order. So what that will mean is they will all patrol. By then pressing search, all of them that can search will do, and then by pressing preach, all of them that can preach will start to preach. We're going to try and push back a little bit this enemy dominion, just while we wait for our forces to get together. We have a bunch more Priestsmiths here over in the Throne of Pestilence, as well as Audrey. Audrey just has a couple of knights. I think what we're going to do is going to send these guys over towards Barmy, but in Barmy we want to make sure that we've got some more Priestsmith support for our troops, just so when we send them down to Bethine, or send them up to take over some of the other Bandar Log provinces, they have a little bit more support. As for our nature mages, we will just continue going around searching for the varying places. We're going to grab these slingers just so we can potentially use them later. We'll go to the Silver Woods. There was a combat in the Bright Woods over here, which we can see, where Bandar Log did actually lose some independence. That's quite nice. We're going to grab this scout here. We're going to start sending him back towards Elkland. I don't think we have any other scouts that are nearby? No. So we're going to get another one in Coburg, and we're going to use them to start trying to ferry up some more gems for our eventual siege in Bandar Log. I don't think we should have much problem in Bethine. It's only a palisade. However, for this capital, I imagine the defense is going to be a little bit harder. And coming over here, we've just got some more site searching to do. We got a couple of Yomi down here. We're going to move them back towards the hole. How is the hole doing in terms of recruitment? We're getting more Wizard Apprentices. We're getting a couple more Flail guys. We've searched here for Astral Sites. We're going to head to Underhome. We're going to keep on searching. I'm going to pick up a bunch more of our Bakemonos. Gunderic is here. He's going to pick up all the troops he can, which is 100. It's a fair amount of troops. He's going to put them in a double line formation like so. And he's going to come out with a little bit of Mastersmith and Priestsmith support. Speaking of Priestsmiths, let's make sure that we're sending over more of our troops over to here. Fantastic. They can get in Felden Forest and they can reinforce where they can. So we're going to grab these guys here and we're going to set them up with our usual buffing for our Mastersmiths. They're going to come over here and they're going to buff up everybody they can with Lars. And with Lars, he's going to do his usual one as a Priestsmith, so he's going to sit there and do that. We're going to get Gunderic to stay behind troops, and we'll get these guys to start marching their way down underneath, and we'll make sure as well that we've got hold and attack closest for our big line of infantry. That's 100 infantry of all. We've really managed to amass our forces there. Over here, we're going to build a citadel in the Forest of Gila. This will let us get out some more troops best we can. I think we're going to start giving out more of these quills to people where we can. And we should be able to do that over here as well. There we go. That's all of our quills. We have another Mastersmith who is an R3 random in Balthazar. Let's see if we have a hammer to give him. We do indeed. So we're going to get him to build another hammer. So that's just going to have 2 more hammers every single turn, which we can then use, start turning more of these earth gems into useful applications. Potentially as well, seeing as he doesn't have a hammer, that's a little bit of a waste. We could also build a crusher. This could be useful. Actually, I'm thinking it's more useful than I might be giving it credit to. We get a couple of these guys here to sit up front for when we take Bandar Log and they will rush in. Using magical troops is really good. Usually magical troops do not have any upkeep, so they're very useful for, if you aren't, say, in a good economic position as we currently are, they're very good for making sure that you have enough forces even if you are a little bit gold strapped. So we'll search here for nature sites. Zanero, I think we're just going to keep you there for now. As far as Manan is, we'll maybe send him down to the Forest of Gila, see what we can pick up. We haven't picked up any more troops here. We have another Mastersmith as well. We may actually give him boots and send him over to Elkland. We have another mounted commander. He's going to pick up these crossmen, then move to Droigar. And Droigar, we need to search for astral sites. We have Thorismond over here. We'll get him to search for sites as well. And then these guys over here, we'll get them to move onto Bethine. Excellent. As for our scout, he can't quite get to our laboratory in one turn. That is a shame. We'll also make sure that we've done our Province Defense. There was a slight issue in recording in that I accidentally ended the turn before I meant to. You've got to keep an eye on that. Luckily, that's why we keep extra saves, just in case that kind of thing happens. So, with that, other than Zanero here, that's all of our troops that have been moved. We're going to get another one of these Black Lords. I think that's a good idea. If we can get him with a couple more Black Knights, that'll be fine. We can potentially send them out raiding. And we're doing our recruitment here. We're doing our recruitment in Ulm. We have 29 units in Ulm. I don't think we're going to give our Priestsmiths who are going underground any more units. I think they should be fine. Let's have a little check of our research. So we are going to get Evocation 5 next turn, which is going to be very, very useful. So that's going to unlock Falling Fires. Falling Fire is going to be a really good skill for a really good spell for us to use whenever we're attacking a castle. Basically, large area effect with Lingering Cloud of Flame. Get a couple of guys casting that. All we'll need is some more Flame in the Jars. We'll need some more Fire Gems, and we can have a bunch of our Mastersmiths casting that, even though they're only Fire level 1. Evocation 2 is obviously going to be the big one. Iron Blizzard for 1. Magma Eruption. Flame Eruption. We get a lot of good spells here. We also unlock a level 5 Earthquake, which we will be able to use on Earthsneck. So if we really run into problems underground, we'll be able to use Earthquake to start killing a few of our foes, which will be very, very useful. but as it stands, that is that. We need to start thinking about what our next part of research is going to be. So an interesting one for enchantment is this one, Giant Strength Warriors, costs 1 Earth Gem. It has a massive area of effect of giving +4 strength. We're going to want to start using that, especially when we're going to go attacking. We want to make sure our troops are doing as much damage as possible. Weapons of sharpness as well, very, very useful. Very small area of effect, but it means that everybody who's affected, their weapons now do armor-piercing damage, so that will remove 50% of the target's protection. It's going to be really useful against Abyssia. The only issue is it only works on piercing or slashing weapons. It doesn't work on bludgeoning weapons. So our flail guys, the ones we're sending down to Abyssia, as well as our knights, they both have bludgeoning weapons in either their flails or their morning stars. Little bit of a shame that we can't really use it on them. They do get it on their lance, which is very useful. It means they'll almost certainly kill something with their lance, but it's not quite as useful as before. If we get even further down, we get better versions of that as well, which we'll need to think about. As it stands, I think Alteration is also a really good one because it'll make our troops a lot more tanky. We don't really have to worry so much about tankiness, but it can be very, very useful. I mean, if we get Group Stone Skin, that's a great spell. Fairly large area effect, 3+, additional 1 for every caster. It's level. Brings natural protection up. If you get natural protection on the units with high protection, all of a sudden they're very difficult to kill. Also unlocks Maws of the Earth. So we haven't really used Earth Grip all that much, but basically what Earth Grip does is it immobilizes the units that it's cast on. This is a really good Earth Grip. It does cost 1 Earth Gem to cast. However, large area of effect, does damage, magical damage, which is armor piercing, and then anything that lives then also gets immobilized. Really useful for letting your infantry chop through immobilized things so they don't get much of a defense skill at all. And there is also Conjuration. See, we've got lots of choices now. We're starting to get to the point where we have a lot of good choices for research. I'm quite happy with our construction level. Evocation 6 is going to be really useful. I think we get Conjuration 5, we get Alteration 5, and then we go for the enchantment. We're going to want to try and get rid of Bandar log first, which I think we can do with the current forces we have in the area. Once we do that, it's going to be a mad dash back down to the underworld, where we're going to see where Abyssia is coming. Abyssia is coming from the glowing caverns. They'll probably move into either the womb or the Undermountains soon, and then they'll start attacking our provinces. So if we have a force over by the hole, we'll get at least a little bit of extra notice before they come, and I think we should be okay. Other than that, we've done our actions, we've done our recruitment, we've checked our research. I think we've done all we can for this turn. I can't really think of anything else to recruit at the moment, nor do I think we need to. Gunderic, my boy, look at him. He's a wonderful Astral Master Smith. You really cannot complain. We've been fairly fortunate with our randoms. We've gotten a good amount. One thing we could do with Gunderic, once we get another hammer, is we could get him to start making, so I didn't really get a chance to speak about this before. Communions in Dominion 6, Dominion 5, Dominion 4, very complicated thing. Easy way to go over it is, you have a Communion Master and Communion Slaves. For every exponential number of slaves you have, I think it starts at 2, then 4, then 8, etc. Slaves you have within a communion, the Master's paths are boosted by 1. And also, when the Master casts spells, he takes fatigue from the slaves, a certain ratio, which escapes my mind at this moment. I'll need to double check it and do a complete video on it. Lots of very difficult mechanics. Anything the Master casts, also cast on the slaves. Very useful. Can't do that, usually. But you can with some of your Master Smiths. Some of them have an astral random. You can cast it on them. Ulm has another thing that really helps them in the late game. If you get to the point where you're not really winning with your armies, and you're sitting there going, but my mages are terrible, they can't cast spells easily, what can I do? These astral randoms are really, really useful. With construction level 5, you can get 2 things that will help you massively. Sky Metal Matrix, and what that is it costs you 1 Earth Gem and 1 Astral Gem to make with a Master Smith and a hammer, and that lets whoever is holding that become a Communion Master. You don't have to cast a spell, you're just automatically a Communion Master. This is great. This means that if you are using communions, you can give your guys this, and suddenly you don't have to use one of your 5 scripted spells in order to cast Communion Master. Equally, for the same cost of 1 Earth Gem and 1 Astral Gem, once you have a Master Smith with a hammer, you can build these slave matrices. which turn whoever hold them into a communion slave. They can't do anything else. They can't cast any spells of their own. They're just in the communion. But you can mass produce these to quite a degree, and you produce so many mages per turn with just a little bit of infrastructure, especially once you have all of your castles upgraded to citadels, and you're producing 1.5 mages a turn. You get a couple astral randoms, and you start producing, say, maybe one master matrix for every couple of slave. You've got full-fledged communions. You've actually just become a communion nation. And using that, you can use your paths to cast fire spells with ease. You can use earth magic really well. You can even use it to cast things like astral or air if you get the randoms. But when it comes to communions, if you're casting something, you're using a magic path your slaves do not have, they take much higher fatigue. So you will take losses, but that's fine. You just mass produce these slave matrices, you mass produce your master smiths, and you're absolutely golden. As it stands, we don't have the hammer to give him, but we will try and give him a hammer now that we're producing one a turn. We're going to give him a hammer next turn. We're probably going to get him to start producing us some of these matrices, just so we can try and do a little bit of communion shenanigans. Probably against Abyssia, it'll be really useful to get our fire magic up as much as we can, just so we can start casting things like massive amount of flame resistance for our guys. Anyway, that was a massive tangent. Sorry about that. Just thought I'd bring that up for you to have a little think of. Obviously, Ulm's major strength is in its troops. But once you get towards the late game, there are some things you can make your not so great mages better. So make sure you understand that as you're going. Anyway, let's end this turn. Okay, and with that, our research into evocation has finished. We have claimed the Throne of Pestilence. Lovely. We've cast Crusher Construction. We found 2 magical sites in Elkland. Stray Wild Forest and Poison Glades. Don't like the sound of the second one. Found a site in Droigar, the Maze. There should be another astral site. And Mudfield, that sounds like an earth. And it doesn't seem we found any other magical sites. And there was a battle in the Woods of Weeping. We were attacked by Bandar Lock. Let's see what happened. So a very small Bandar Lock force against a far larger Ulmish force with a lot more mage presence. Here comes our volley of crossbows, absolutely annihilating that first squad. They have 1 Tiger Rider. He is coming forward. We may have to be a little bit worried about him. It doesn't look like he's blessed though, so as bad as his Tiger is, I'm sure we'll be fine. Our crossbows here, we have such a mass of them, they're just starting to tear through these troops. Our light cavalry over here is coming in to try and attack their archers. We have a bunch of iron darts coming through. And even though this guy here was horror marvelous, we'll give him the horrible end of our lance and see how he likes that. And this guy too. There we go. Excellent. That went really well. Very small force by Bandar Lock. Nothing to really worry about. We lost a couple of infantry of Ulm. We lost some light cavalry. I can't really complain about that at all. Other than that, there was also a battle in Erebon. Let's see what happened here. So this looks like our province defense. Yes, it is indeed. So our province defense is going up against a small force of Bandar Lock troops. We'll probably lose this. We only have militia. They have these large ape guys. Who are, the Bandar warriors. Yep, there we go. So they managed to crush through our province defense. That's fine. So they've taken Erebon. There's also a battle in Barn. Let's have a little look in Barn. Another small force attacking our much larger force. We have nothing to worry about here. We have the mage support. We have the numbers. They've already routed before the front lines have even come together. So, yep. There we go. Didn't take a single loss. Killed all of them. Killed the Yogi. Yogis are kind of like their smaller spellcasters. They have Astral 1. Can do communions. Can do interesting things. Not sure if the AI will use that. And then there was also a battle in Bethine. This is their fortification province. We'll probably just be fighting province defense, which it looks like by the number of Makarta. They're already routing before they can do anything. Our barbarians are coming in. They're going to absolutely chop things up, as are our lizards. And there we are. The battle is over. We took 1 loss. We took 1 crossbowman, which we lost to an archer. It's going to happen, but with our troops that we have there, pretty convincing battle. Other than that, we had a couple of events. Mountains of Mist. We lost some more Dominion in Ulm. Misfortune +3. That's not nice. Unrest +26. Gotta hate random events, but there's nothing you can do. Something's happening in Summer Edge. But we've managed to destroy the fort in Bethine. The walls are severely damaged. We've managed to kill a bunch of brigands with our patrolling guys. And we're starting to starve, which is a bit of a shame. We don't want that if we can help it. Speaking of starving, let's see what we can do. So we could use some of our many nature gems to start making these endless bags of wine. Only need nature magic 1, costs 5 nature gems, give you supply bonus 75. Excellent. We can put them on our commanders. Our commanders will be able to start feeding their troops far easier. As it comes to our troops though, let's start moving them up here. We're going to actually just move straight onto Bandar log with this force here. And with these guys here, we're going to send some of these guys over to Bethine to support. I'm going to send Adelaide and his troops up into Uric Balor. Over here we've done some more searching. Let's send Thorismund to Nicaea. Goodric didn't find anything, but we do have another astral site, so let's give him a hammer. And we're going to start forging up some of these slave matrices, just so we can start using them in the future. As for Lothar here, we'll give him a owl quill. I keep calling them feathers. And we'll search around with Lugal Corrupt. That's going to be very difficult to say. Lugal, what's his face, in order to help us out there. Our 2 commanders here are going to start moving their way towards Bethine. We've got a few more troops here. Shan is going to use them. We're basically just using these guys as siege chaff. We're going to pick up as many of these slingers as we can. Excellent. Range units do help you in a siege quite a bit. The guys on the walls are kind of hard to kill, but if you can get them to attack rear, they'll probably attack the guys within the back of the castle, where the walls won't be able to protect them quite as much. As it stands, we've gotten the Throne of Pestilence here. Fantastic. We'll be able to use that to start spreading our dominion a little bit more. With our guys here, we're going to start getting them to move up. I'll see if Rezo can potentially move a little bit further. He's going to move up to Bandar log to deliver up some of these earth gems. Amalaric and Co are going to move into Bethine. Probably through Wershan, then Barmy. Excellent. Let's have a look at Arsenic. So you can see Arsenic here. He's not looking so good. Why is the hit point so low? It's because we're in enemy dominion. We're getting minus 63 hit points for being in enemy dominion. We really don't want to send him to combat like this. He's still pretty tanky, but he has dropped lower than that against just independent armies. We have to be very careful about where we're sending him. As it stands, he isn't doing very much. We'll get him to search. He should be safe from any enemy armies. And I don't believe they have any sneaking units. But over here, we're going to keep our searching going. We're going to pick up a bunch of these undisciplined troops, as many as we can. And we'll start heading through the Nidian range up into Bandar log, just so we get some more siege shaft to use. As far as Hilderic goes, he can move straight to the Spring Spires. That's fantastic. Thorismund, he has casted Crusher, so you can see here we have Crusher here. This guy, he's quite useful. He's got quite a few hit points. He's got very high protection. He doesn't actually do anything, but he's very strong. He's going to help us in our siege quite a lot. So if we get another one of those Crushers, there we are, Crusher Construction. Does cost 10 Earth Gems. Quite expensive, but I think it'll be quite useful if we get like maybe 3 of these guys up the front of our force, just to charge straight into the gap in the fortress. They're going to take a lot of archer fire. They're going to take a lot of time for the enemy to kill, giving our infantry time to mass forward and try and hit them as much as they can. I think in Summoner Edge here, what it's trying to say is there's something going on here. There's some nebulous bad effect that we're getting, but we're just going to ignore it for now. We don't really have the people to spare to deal with that. We'll move our troops to Elkland over here. Yes, this Poison Glade, we've managed to find a place where we can recruit necromancers. So with that, all of a sudden, we have breached into death. Random sites, everyone. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you aren't. So we're going to suddenly start recruiting necromancers here rather than master smiths. Fantastic. All of a sudden we have a use for these 5 death gems that we're currently getting. I'm a little bit in shock, but hey-ho. Right, so let's take Almeric. Let's see what you can give him. So we'll give him some Brace of Protection. We'll give him some Girdle of Might as well. We can see here that boosts his protection up quite a bit. This Girdle of Might, as I said, it gives it +3 strength, 3 reinvigoration. Quite a lot for our lord here. We're probably going to give that to a couple of our other commanders as well when we get a second. Most likely on the Abyssian front, purely because on the Abyssian front, we're going to have a lot more problems with fatigue. Their heat dominion is going to be a big problem for us to handle. So we're going to have to take some measures in order to get through that. We could do that by increasing our fire resistance, which reduces the amount of extra fatigue you take from being in hot provinces. Or alternative, giving yourself a source of reinvigoration like we have here. We're going to grab Lothar as well. He's going to come with. We'll give him another girdle. You might as well use as many of these various different magical items when you're making them, especially as Ulm. There's no point saving them if they're just the cheap 5 gem items. You're going to be making so many of them, you want to be using them where you can. Let's give some more boots to Pons here. And we'll start sending him probably over to Bithine, and we're going to give him a bunch of gems to start spreading them out too. Yeah, we'll give him 10 earth gems, and we'll start sending him over to Bithine. Like so. As for our druid, we'll keep going around the forest, see what we can find. And let's see here, we have Pippin. Pippin, who is going to run over to Bithine. Excellent. We have Shan. Shan could potentially take this fairly small force, which could be useful for taking Bithine, but we're going to send him over to Embison. Not really anywhere else they can go. They could go to Halbritha, which would be a problem in a sense, but it wouldn't be the worst thing. We're going to try and send them over there to try and take out these Bandar warriors, just so they can't keep going around and annoying us. We're going to side search here. Over here, we can see some more massing of troops, as well as a fortification from Abyssia. It's always really good just to have as much information as you can about the enemy whenever you're trying to plan things. The more scouts that you have around the area, the more information you're going to have, the better way you can determine what you're going to do. We're going to hole up inside the hole, or at least for now. We have a bunch of Bakemono here. We'll get them to patrol just to make sure there's nobody coming around here. And we're going to keep on searching as best we can around here. This site here will be probably where we find most magical sites. Throne sites are generally where you find the most magical sites. It's just part of the game. Throne sites have a much higher chance during map generation to have sites than other places. Okay, and with that, we are out of gold. So let's make sure that we're spending our gold where we can. Let's get some more troops over here. Actual infantry of Ulm. We'll grab somebody to go and get that in a second. And make sure that we're handing out our quills wherever we can. We've still got 2 left. Seems to be it for now. Anybody else that's researching that doesn't already have one? You don't have one, but you are also one of our smiths. So what we want to do is we want to start sending you up towards Elkland. And I do not believe there's anybody else who is researching who does not have one. No, it's not looking like it. So let's go down to the underground and we'll give one. Now these guys all have one except for you. Excellent. There we go. Perfect. Let's use some of this extra gold. We'll get Stanzo to start building this into a fortress, just so we get the 2 commander points per turn, which will help us quite a bit. We still have Zenero over here. Now that we're not recruiting a Black Lord, let's just start getting back to normal troops, and we'll get ourselves a bunch more sappers, like so. Forest of Gila, how are we doing for units here? We've got a fair few. Alfred, perfect. You were another fire too, so we're going to give you boots. We're going to give you fire in a jar. We're going to send you over to Elkland. We'll decide where we want to send you afterwards. We'll probably send you to Bithine and then send you up to Bandar Log. Let's see how Lothar's doing. He's down to 7 hit points. Hopefully you can take the enemy castle before he dies, but we'll just have to see. As far as our research is going, let's have a little look. We're not going to get evocation 6 for a while. We're making 460 research points per turn. It's going to cost us 1,200. Gifts from Heaven is also a really good spell. It basically brings down massive amount of meteors, do huge amount of damage, massive area of effect. We can cast them with our astral randoms, and potentially we could bring them to use in Bandar Log. Where are they? You know what, Arnulf? We have other ways of getting... yeah, in fact, let's not get a Master Smith here. Let's get a Lizard Shaman. These guys are astral. We can use them to site search. We can use Gundrick to start forming these Slade matrices. We'll get Arnulf to move to Eklund. We'll gear him up. We'll get him ready to start casting Gifts from Heaven, and we're going to use that in our attack on Bandar Log. Is there anybody else who could make a crusher here? No, there is not. Okay. Right, and with that, I think we're okay with the amount of gold we have left. It's a little bit of a nest egg. Absolutely fine. We'll maybe get a couple of archers here just to help hold off any attacks potentially coming into Halbritha. And over here, don't really mind about that. We will get some Province defense here just because this is a bridge. We want to make sure that we're holding that if we can. And it uses up a little bit of our income. Yeah, with that, I think we're quite happy. We're quite happy with our opening moves. We're moving our armies from Strongdale to Wershin. We're moving into Bithine. We're going to have a large force there. We might even be able to start thinking about sieging that, or storming the castle, sorry, for that soon. It is just a fortification, so this fortification doesn't have very good wall integrity, only has 200. So it's very likely that we're going to be able to get through it pretty quickly. This one, on the other hand, you can see wall integrity 1000. It's going to take us a much longer in order to get through this main capital. So what will most likely happen is we'll take the capital and we'll start trying to move around and capture their surrounding provinces, just so we can keep a stranglehold on the siege, stop there being any reinforcing armies. Once we take Bethune, we'll start moving down here and we'll clear out this area of the map and get some more money. And I think we'll all be good. With that, we're going to end the turn because we've done our actions, we've done our recruitment, and we've done our research. So let's go. Okay, so we've got another crusher construction done. We found 2 magical sites, 2 tar pits. Very, very nice. Other than that, we haven't found anything else. Podro was the victim of assassination. Ah, that is a shame. So Abyssi is attacking our commander here in a tavern. New assassination map. He's coming in. He's scared everybody. Our champion's like, what? What's going on? I don't quite understand. These peasants don't either. They're going to get stabbed to death. And we do a little bit of damage to him. Yeah, we did actually do a fair bit of damage to him. Because of his, he would have actually died if not for his heroic ability of being unequally obese. And with that, he has managed to kill our commander, and he's killed all of the peasants as well. That is a shame. So that was the guy who was building our fortress. Not ideal. Oh, didn't mean to view the battle there. Yeah, he was the guy who was building our fortress over here. So we're going to need to send somebody else to finish that up. Big, big shame. We're just going to send our guys over here. But let's get back to the messages. There's a battle in Erebon. Let's have a little look. So this is our ragtag force attacking some province defense and what looks to be the small raiding party that was being sent out by Bandar Log. So our barbarians have fled. Let's hope our archers can hold against these Bandar Log guys. Nope. So the Bandar Log guys have routed. We're going to clean up the force. I don't think we quite got their commander, but that's absolutely fine. Have a little look. We did lose 5 barbarians and they did flee. We didn't get their commander, so their commander's still running about, but we got rid of a lot of his forces, which is quite nice. Including quite a few of these sacred troops as well. We should definitely just double check the battle again, just to make sure that their god hasn't woken up. Because they could be waking up at any time. Let's have a look. Nope, still +1 morale, +1 strength. Okay. We're alright for now. Alright, so there's a battle in Uric Baltor, or Balcor, sorry. And we have a bunch of our guys here. We don't have much archer support here, but we do have a couple of priest-smiths, so that's fine. They're casting Summoning Earth Power, and Personal Iron Skin. Here come some of their Tiger Riders. Clashing with our front line. Hopefully our guys will do enough damage to just kill them. As I said, the Bless isn't very good. It's more the Tigers I'm worried about rather than the actual Riders. And we managed to come around and clash them pretty well. Yep, there we go. They've routed. Did we take some losses there? We took some Bear Tribe, 2 infantry of them. I'm willing to accept that for killing 3 Brahmins and a bunch of guys here. Excellent. And there was a battle in Bandar Log as well, so this is going to be the climactic battle. Both of our, or sort of a combination of our larger armies are here. Our range units marching forward. Struggling to get through our lines. It's one of the benefits of having them kind of like, not so much staggered, but slightly staggered here. In that we'll be able to move through our front lines, and here come our frontline troops, as well as our cavalry attack. We've got a bunch of iron darts coming through. They have a lot of Makarta monkeys. They are going to be a little bit of a pain to hit, but if any of the archers will fire on them, they will just kill them. And more than likely they will rout sooner rather than later as well. They have what looks to be 1 commander here, who's going to get charged by our cavalry, and most likely completely destroyed. Yep, there he is. And then I think that is all of their commanders, so they are now routed. So with that, we've won the day, we won the battle on the outskirts of Bandar Log. Fantastic. And for our trouble, we lost 1 Black Knight and 1 of our horses, 2 infantry of Ulm, and we lost mounts for a couple of our light cavalry. Overall, not too bad. We killed a lot of that. That was all province defense, but we killed quite a lot of it. There was an unexpected event in Barmy, disease, and we got some water gems in Yankee. Very nice. And it's unbearably hot. Fantastic. That's not ideal. The construction of the fortress in Rotmarsh is done. We have breached the entrance to the fortification in Bethune. Fantastic. And we started to destroy the fort, but we'll need some more time. Okay, so that was pretty successful. I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sending all of our forces into Bethune. We're going to be ready to siege that province. We don't know how many troops are inside. I doubt there's that many. There could be some mage support as well. We'll have to see. Otherwise, we have Pons here. He's going to send a Bandar log. He's going to grab use a bunch of these Arse gems here. We're going to also send our Bakamono here, who is sneaking. He's the better option, really, to be carrying the gems. That's absolutely fine. We'll get Hilderic to move. We might actually just grab all the gems off him. So if you want to swap gems, what you can do is you can select the commander that has the gems and give them to another commander, like so. And that means he'll be able to get straight to there rather than Rezo taking 2 turns together, which is absolutely fine. We may also use Rezo now that he's not holding that to go with Kilmari, and we'll start getting him to try and clear out some of this province defense. Pons himself will head to Bethine. We'll give out some of these Earth Gems there. We've already got Earth Gems for Bandar Log. Yeah, that sounds good. And we have our first Death Mage. He's Death 2. He can do a little bit of stuff, but we'll go into more of him next time. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful for you, and until next time, take care.